Okay, as always, flash the book cover, Chapter 27, Terror at Bottle Creek by Watkey. You do need to have your copy. You do need to be reading it along with me. You also need to be prepared to work on these when you come in the fall. Summer reading's not an option, so please get your copy of your book and let's get this done. Chapter 27. I found the girls about 10 feet up, Francie hugging the trunk and Liza facing her, holding on above her head. As big and stout as the tree was, it swayed and creaked against the wind. I came up the opposite side from them, my leg throbbing with pain. I put the light on it, and I saw a 3-inch tear in my thigh. Blood ran down my leg, thin and pink, and watered down like cherry Kool-Aid. "Court!" Liza exclaimed. "I'll be okay. It's going to get infected." She was right. I imagined it was already crawling with all the invisible bacteria from the yellow pig tusk. "I'll worry about it later," I said. "I have to get you too comfortable." I shined my light about, and then I flashed on something I hadn't expected. Through the branches, I caught sight of the black bear we'd seen earlier, clinging to a tree next to us. I studied it for a moment until it slowly turned its head and stared at me. "It climbed a tree too," Francie said. I hadn't meant for her to see it, but for some reason the bear didn't frighten her this time. I pulled the light away. "Yeah," I said. "Mr. Bear's got a tree house just like us," I said. "We can't do this, Court," Liza said. I put my light on them. Their legs trembled with fatigue and their teeth chattered. Perched like we were, it wouldn't be long before we'd collapse and tumbled into the hogs below. "We have to," I said. "Just hang on for a little longer. Keep the ants off of her." I snapped branches and placed them at my feet, using the limb I was standing on and another just around the trunk as supports. It didn't take long to construct a rough bench. Then I took off my life vest and spread it for a cushion. In a moment, I had Liza on the bench with Francie pulled close for warmth. The ends of the branches were still thick with juniper needles and berries. "Mr. Bear doesn't have anything to sit on," Francie said. "Mr. Bear is good at climbing trees," I said. "He's real comfortable." "He can't get over here, can he?" Liza asked. "No," I said, "we're fine. Start picking the berries. Chew them into a paste and rub it over yourselves. It'll help with the ants. And give Francie a few to eat. She won't like them, but chew it up for her and make her swallow." Liza nodded. If it were any other girl but Liza with me, we'd be dead, I thought. I left them and moved about the tree with the light in my mouth, collecting more branches and returning with them to build out the platform. At one point, I felt something sticky and abrasive on my wrist and held it before the light to see a cottonmouth transferring from the branch to my arm. I slung it off me and froze, breathing hard, fear humming in my ears. Y'all, a cottonmouth is a water moccasin. It was like I could hear Dad talking. Snakes are just cold and evil. You can't breed it out of them. It's like reptiles got a different god. I saw more of them, mostly draped on the ends of the branches, black and thick. We have to get rid of the snakes first, I thought. That's more urgent than finishing the platform. I found a branch that I could make into a pole about the size of a broomstick. I washboarded the pole against the bark of the juniper until I had the knot spikes worn smooth. Then I returned to the girls, huddled wordlessly on the stick platform. Juniper needles and leaves clung to their skin. There was not enough room for me to sit, so I crouched beside them and leaned against the trunk for support. "You want to switch for a while?" Liza asked me. I shook my head. She continued to slowly chew the berry-like juniper cones. "Did you give Francie some?" I asked. Liza nodded. Keeping chewing them, I said. "Start rubbing it on your skin. It should help with the ants." "I've never heard of it." "I think I have. It won't hurt to try." "What about your leg?" she said. "It's fine. We'll put some on there too." She removed a bit of the paste from her mouth and pressed it tenderly into the wound. It burned, and I hoped that was a sign that it had some antiseptic qualities. When she was done, I put the light in my mouth and smashed the compass against the tree. I kept the broken pieces in my fist and removed the largest of the glass shards, Then I began the tedious process of sharpening the pole. I quickly found that my hands were shaking too much and the glass shard was too small for me to get a purchase on. I located a split in one of the platform branches and pressed the glass into it, making something like a planer to draw the pole against. The rain wasn't letting up. The only reprieve we had was when a gust of wind came against the back side of the trunk and blew the water around us. The hogs continued to squeal and grunt below. I counted 5 of the smaller black ones, plus Rusty, packed against the base of the tree. I didn't see any deer and assumed they were hidden somewhere in the underbrush beyond. It was still too dark to see far without the light, but I heard what must have been more of the beasts arriving at the base of the mound. "Dad," I said. "What?" Liza said. I realized I was talking to myself and shook my head. "Nothing." But I thought about him. In a strange way I sensed he was with me, telling me what to do, guiding my hands. I realized I was no more than the things he'd taught me. But why had he left me to face this alone? Where was he when I needed him most? I never felt so abandoned.